guys, welcome back to the Chalanting Pod. This is episode 7, and yes, my voice is absolutely shot because I went to DDR yesterday and screamed a lot, so now my voice is kind of shot. And I was actually thinking about like not filming an episode because I was like, my voice is gone, but do not fear, I can yap in any condition. And I wanted to just film an episode because I had the time and I had the opportunity. So I was like, you know what, I kind of want to go for it. But this is just a yap, post picnic day recovery yap. Um, we're gonna start with the drink of the episode, which is very chill. Just poured it out. It's the orange passion mango juice or orange peach mango juice from Trader Joe's. It's very refreshing. It's also kind of hot, so it's a good drink for warm weather. So that's today's drink of the episode. Very chill. For the song of the week, I don't know. Honestly, like I didn't have like, a clear picture because I feel like lately the music has not been musicking, which is kind of sad. But a song I've been playing over and over is Cherry Blossom Lips by Sio Paulo and Eugene. Like that song is so pretty and like very picnic day vibes. So I quite like that one. But yeah, so that is song of the week. But I think the music will hit again. I think I just need to find new music. I think I'm just stuck in a music rut. So, just need to get back into it. Okay, so as for how I'm doing though, as you can tell from my voice, very tired. It was a very long week. A lot happened. I saw Biba Doobie on Friday, and that was crazy. It was really good. I was a bit stressed out logistically because of like ADA seating and stuff, but it was a good concert. I was so like locked in. I was so present, and B's an amazing artist. She's so pretty. It was like really fun, and I just had a really good time. Definitely one of the better concerts I've been to. No hate to my other concerts, just like, it's one of the good ones. But it was a good end to the week. I feel like this week was very, very long, and it was good to some extent. Like, some of my classes got canceled or like moved to Zoom, so that helps a lot, and it definitely gave me more space to kind of like take things at my own pace. But just a lot of homework, just start of the quarter stuff. The weather was really good though. I was able to like sit on the grass on I think Wednesday, which really helped, and I just was able to photosynthesize and it felt really good. Um, but yeah, as I mentioned, picnic day was also yesterday, and that was very long. Like literally the week, like it's only Sunday, but it feels like it's been very long. Like the weekend's been so long. I think picnic day was good too. Like it was it was very chaotic though, and there's some things I won't mention, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Some random things. I got a fish print. Like there's like a fish. It's like a dead fish, and you like paint it, and you put a paper on, and you get like the print from the fish. I think it's a Japanese art. Um, I also got a strawberry plant with my housemate, and oh, we got one of the like collectible cards from ASUCD. It's like this one. Yes, and we also were able to just like catch a bunch of random things. I ran into a lot of people, which was good, but just a little bit overwhelming because like, oh my gosh, there's so much people. Oh, the fashion show. We got to see the fashion show. Super awesome. And DDR was, as I said, I mean, from my voice, you could probably tell it was really awesome. And the dance groups were so amazing. And I was like, yeah, I was going feral. So, oh, and we got Canes. Oh my God, Canes was a hit. I devoured that so fast. It was so good. So I would say it was a good picnic day for the most part. Um, but another thing I kind of wanted to bring up for like how I'm doing is like pain level wise, it's definitely been worse this week, like with my hip and getting around and tiredness and fatigue, especially with picnic day. Like I'm definitely in pain. Same with Biba Doobie. Like I've just been standing and walking a lot, and I've needed like more ice and stuff. And it's also kind of made me think like I was thinking about like my progress because I realized it's been like 4 months since I've gotten surgery, which is absolutely insane. But it's a little bit like I think demoralizing realizing that too, because even though I'm 4 months out, I feel kind of stagnant. Like, I'm still using crutches. I'm still experiencing pain. I don't feel very mobile. I don't feel ready to like walk or do like anything beyond what I've been doing. So it is a bit demoralizing, and I've also been feeling kind of stagnant too, just in general. I kind of mentioned like the music isn't musicking. I feel like I don't have a lot of hobbies or interests I can keep up with anymore. It just feels like I'm kind of stagnant because it's like the fatigue is there, right? And the truth is, I don't want to be that busy, but I also don't want to like I want my rest to be restful. I don't want to just be like doom scrolling or like I don't know, kind of being stuck in a rut. So that's something I've also like been thinking of and thinking about kind of like my progress and everything. But I was also talking to my PT and she was like, "Hey, like everyone's at their own pace. Like don't compare yourself." Especially cuz like with hip surgery, it's like mine was pretty intense, so it makes sense that it would take longer. And it wouldn't make sense to rush recovery either. It's like your body's going to need the time it needs to heal and feel better. And obviously if I rush it, I might injure myself. So yeah, just come some thoughts about how that's been going. I think another funny part of this week was that I was coping with my fun little drinks so much. Like, I don't know what it is or what's in the air. I think it's stress. But literally every day I'm like, man, I think an iced drink would really pick me up right now. Like, and I'm not even joking. I think it was like last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I had like matcha every single day. And I'm like, oh, like, and then this week I had like boba, I had Molly Jasmine, I had matcha again, and I'm like, dang, like I'm really caffeine maxing here. I'm so sensitive to caffeine, but I love it tastes so good. I love my teas. So I was like, bruh. But truly like I realized that I am not immune to needing a sweet treat. And honestly, it's just like I think when I'm just so stressed or need to cope, it's just like it really helps. And like it actually is very effective. So I'm like, oh, but the craving comes a lot and I'm like, oh, I'm running out of money. So definitely something I need to kind of work on. And I don't really want to get addicted, but I'm like, and I think the alternative is finding something I can kind of like drink and sip that's refreshing that isn't caffeinated and isn't expensive. So that's why I got my Trader Joe's orange peach mango juice because it's really good, but it's not that expensive and no caffeine. But like it's the same effect. I'm like, like a refreshing drink, you know? I think I also mentioned that it's been sunnier and that honestly I think helps so much, like seasonal depression and stuff. Also better outfits, being able to literally like sit on the quad. Like I found that it's so healing to literally just sit and photosynthesize for like 10 minutes. Like highly recommend. I prescribe it honestly. Um but on the note of the sweet treats and sitting outside and whatnot, I was kind of having some more thoughts about and like connecting this to some of my classes. Um, so in disability studies last quarter, we had this really interesting discussion about self care. And the topic we had in mind, or like kind of like the example that we were going off of, was like you fail your test and you're feeling really sucky about yourself and you really want to get boba. So you're like, go get boba to treat yourself, right? And we're talking about how that is kind of the idea of self care that we kind of think of. If not boba, it's like bubble bath or like skincare or face masks, just like kind of that sort of like self care practice or treat yourself practice, right? And in our discussion, we're not saying there's anything like wrong with that. Like, go get your boba, you deserve it. At least that's what I would say, right? But it was more like, let's think more deeply about like why that is necessary. And we're talking about like self care, neoliberalism, individualism. Kind of to break it down, it was like the problem isn't getting boba. The problem is that in our quarter system, university, capitalistic sort of grind set society, we feel so much pressure and worth tied to our grades and to our academic performance and to our productivity that we kind of feel this need to cope through other means, such as consuming boba or consumerism, right? And people have different ways to cope or consume. It could be shopping or buying things. That's something I did this week, and I was like, oh, like I must be stressed. Or like what I said, getting my sweet treats or my, fun drinks. It's like that's something that keeps me going. But why do I have to cope like that and keep going, right? It's because the university system is constantly pressuring. And I know for a lot of people, it's more stressful than others, just depending, but like we're all stressed out and it's normalized to be that stressed out and to be like college students have this like um this kind of normalization of like unhealthiness or unhealthy living because college is so hard, right? Like not getting enough sleep, eating ramen, not having enough money to buy healthy food. Like all that stuff is very like energy drink, like addictions, right? All those things are like normalized in college. And it makes sense it's normalized because it has become normal, because that is how people are coping under such a rigorous system or such a demanding system that doesn't allow for productivity, especially like when you're sick, they don't let you get sick leave. Like, and the court system is so merciless and like um demanding, and like you basically can't have a life outside of school, and if you do it'll get in the way of school, right? So it's something I've been thinking about more. And with the more like disability studies topic, we were talking about how self-care is um under this neoliberal idea of you are in charge of taking care of yourself. You can absolve like the government, other people, systems from taking care of you because it's your responsibility. And if you don't take care of yourself, it's your fault. And honestly, that blew my mind thinking about it because obviously, like, I'm like, I love self care, right? Like, self care is so important and it's a big part of like mental health and whatnot, right? But thinking about that, I was like, dang, like, you're right. We've had this idea of self care that is honestly even serving the systems, capitalism or productivity or whatever, that are harming us. And kind of the alternative is, instead of just self-care, it's like community care. And if self-care is like, also, sorry, neoliberalism, right, is the idea that like we should have a free market, cut back on social services and stuff, right? So under that idea, if we don't have social services, then now it's your job, like your self-care, that has to make up for that. Again, the alternative to that, alternative to neoliberal self care, is like those systems, the community is there to support you and support even like things like healthcare, things like child leave, work leave, um, like sick leave, and I don't know, food, shelter, like all those basic needs. That's something that you are supported with, and things that are caring for you. Things that are caring for you. Then it's not just your responsibility, and it's not just your fault. Um, but that thinking honestly like changed so much of how I see things. And one part of the discussion that we were keep going back to is like, oh, so what should I do like as a person, right? And it's kind of hard because like that is a really like large systematic reality, right? That self-care is a lot more individualized. But what we were discussing is like, yes, keep doing those practices. It's like still going to get my fun drinks, right? Because it's something that helps. But also think critically about why that's the case, and um, just be aware and also validate yourself, because it's like, of course it makes sense that you're stressed. Of course it makes sense that you're anxious or not feeling good, or that your body is hurting, or that you're getting sick because you don't have the time, you don't have the energy to sleep or exercise or eat healthy and cook meals and be a full-time student. And then it makes sense if you feel really bad about yourself for getting a bad grade because of how intertwined worth is with academic achievement and productivity. It makes sense why you feel so bad when you haven't done your homework, because that's what the university system is expecting of you. And it makes sense that even when you're sick, you feel like you still gotta work because, again, that's what they expect from you. And that's pretty ridiculous, not gonna lie. Like, even getting surgery or like being ill, it's like, turn in your work next week. And it's like, seriously, right? Um, but I think it's good to think about. Even if we feel like it's kind of like we're stuck, like, oh, how do we solve this? I think even that understanding is like really important and validating. But the other thing is also like, how can we take care of other people too? And it's hard because we have limited capacity, they do too, but it's like, how can we all decide to care for each other as a community? And it's not just your responsibility to care for you, but it's our shared responsibility to all like care for each other. I've talked about this in a previous episode, but I wanted to tie back kind of the ideas of disability studies to a class I'm taking this quarter. It's Chai 21, it's chicanx health and health inequality. And I thought it would be like a pretty straightforward class, like, oh, like here's the health inequalities that the chicanx and Latinx community face. But I was very happily surprised that it was a lot like my disability studies class, where it was diving into a lot of the systems of health inequality, how health as a concept came to be, indigenous health practices, colonialism, environmental pollution. And it's just such an ethnic studies way to approach it, which I just love because it's just so much more holistic and so much more like, I don't know, it's a lot more radical, and I think it's something that I can definitely appreciate more with the disability studies class that I had because it just opened my eyes to so many different things. But in that class, our first reading is from this book called Inflamed, and wow, it was incredible just for the introduction. And this ties back to this idea of like validate, like it makes sense why we're so stressed or unhealthy or tired or overworked, right? And this book is specifically talking about like bodily stress and ailments and ill health in that sense, and inflammation in the body. That's why she talks about being inflamed. And the author just talks about the histories of colonialism, the histories of pollution, the histories of colonial medicine. And it's just so like insightful to learn about how things actually came to be, because I feel like living in this time now, we only have a very surface level understanding of what health is. But if you go back years into indigenous societies, pre-colonial, it's like, wow, this is actually how it used to be, and we're just so not used to it anymore, right? Like the diagnosis, for example, she explains how modern diagnoses are symptom then solution, right? But a lot of the indigenous practices and kind of what she calls for is called deep medicine. And it's like looking into the root source of things. And it means that you have to look at history to get a full story for the diagnosis, because otherwise it's just not a complete story. And I just was like, I mean, it was really sad to read, I'm going to be honest, because I was like, dang, like we're all screwed. But it was also really eye opening to understand it's like, wow, there are so many things in our world, especially like pollution and climate change, right? That severely impact our bodies. And obviously, colonialism is going to like hurt everyone. But I never thought about how, like, post colonially, the way we see health, the way we respond to health, the way our bodies are, um, the amount of destruction put into the world by colonialism is like still exists now. Those ideas exist today, and our bodies are like paying the price for that. And again, it's sad and like frustrating and, well, not frustrating, but like enraging almost. Um, but it's also like that's where we can start with, right? Knowing the roots of things and not just ignoring that. And that's why I love ethnic studies, because it's critical and it looks to like the real solutions of it instead of just taking like what's at the surface. And that I feel like what's going to be really effective. And again, it's validating because you're not crazy. And something from the book that I thought was a great line was like, your body isn't the problem, your body isn't dysfunctional, your body is appropriately responding to the stressors and to the violence of colonialism. And I was like, wow, yeah, absolutely. And when I say you, it's like that can even, it's not just like people who are directly impacted, it's like the author talks about how that's just far extending to our healthcare systems, to our immigration systems, to how we view the land and climate and our environment and each other. Um, the difference between indigenous like values and knowledge of we are connected to each other, we owe each other something, we have a relationship, we take care of each other, to this colonial idea of extraction, productivity, efficiency. We take from each other and we don't owe each other anything. And yeah, I just thought that was like really awesome. So I'm really excited for this class as well. And I feel like I have a lot to say. I'll have a lot to say about it when I learn more. I mentioned this in my last episode, but I'm also taking a course on Asian American Youth, ASA 116, and I am so grateful that I got into the class. I got into class last Thursday, bless up. Um, and yeah, it's just been really amazing, and I'm super interested in all the content. And there was something that kind of stuck out to me that I really wanted to discuss on the pod. And it was this reading about an overview of Asian American youth and kind of what makes them distinct and their characteristics and, why it's important to study them. And there was this quote about how being Asian American is having this, I mean, this kind of state of in betweenness, as well as this balancing act between so many different worlds. And I think I always like kind of knew that because it's like that's talked about a lot. It's in a lot of Asian American films and stuff. It's like choosing between two worlds. Like I'm not Asian, I'm not American, I'm Asian American or whatever. But it's also really interesting because like I realized just how much stress and time and brain space and energy it takes to do that balancing act and that negotiation between your ethnic community and the dominant community, and just how much internal kind of tension there is and external tension with your family, with your friends, with school, with community, with dominant culture, with popular media. It all interacts, and it's just like it's very stressful, right? And like I could see myself in this reading where it's like understanding that I feel the sense to balance the Americanness and the Asianness and like the Asian Americanness, and it's like whether I feel authentic or if I feel enough or if I'm a disappointment or if I'm betraying my like values. It's like all of that is things that I think about and negotiating between those two worlds, right? And it's honestly like a 40 unit class at this point. Like I I like to joke that like even time management, taking care of your body, like stuff I was mentioning before, that's another 4 unit class. And that's why I feel like it's so hard with the university system. Like you're taking 16 units, well now you're taking 20 units because the extra 4 unit class comes from doing your laundry, cooking, cleaning, sleeping, eating, like all that stuff, right? Um and well, and even like managing your time and balancing everything, that takes a lot of energy and thinking too. I mean, I think I'm just really, I love my Google Calendar, but I spend a lot of time just planning things out and stuff. Um, I mean, I do use it to procrastinate too, but you know, I spend that's takes up a lot of my time. That takes up homework time, right? And it made me think and like connect to that, and being Asian American and obviously other identities, I feel like just continue and like supplement and add to that kind of intersectional experience. But even being like an Asian American girl or an Asian American woman is just another thing that's, I guess, on my plate. I don't really want to say it like that. I guess it is the plate if you really think about it. Um, but that balancing act, that internal tension, that takes a toll on you too, right? And those are things that you're constantly thinking about and constantly kind of surveying in your mind. It's like always on. That's something that I notice as well. And it kind of contributes to that kind of fatigue, tired state that I've mentioned before in my episodes. I mean, obviously, I've also had surgery and I potentially have some other health issues that could cause tiredness. But it's like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of things on your plate. And I've mentioned this in episode 4, I think, but I'm obviously learning that my capacity's a lot more limited than either I expected or that I want. And I need to learn to respect my capacity and respect other people's capacities, because it's really a lot smaller than society expects, or that we expect, or that we want, or that society wants, you know? And it's very glamorized and idealized to have this kind of unending, expansive capacity when that's just like not possible for any living being. Um, and I mean, to exist and also like be sane and kind of healthy. So I think in understanding that, it also tries, I'm trying to also give myself more grace with kind of the progress that I've been having. And, you know, I'm not, I guess I could reframe it. It's like I'm not being stagnant right now. I'm just kind of taking things at a pace that's comfortable and not rushing myself, and being intentional about, you know, how I exist and how much energy I'm willing to spend. In ASA 116, we also talked about kind of that progress timeline of adolescence, and also how like teenagedom and youth and adolescence is a construct. And that's also something that kind of like, not like blew my mind, but I was like, oh, I had to rethink that. I know I talked about this in the last episode, but to kind of add to that, the the timeline of like teenagedom and stuff is very much constructed by a lot of media and dominant culture. Specifically, like in America, the measure for youth is like the white middle class male, and our professor brought up like Boy Scouts as a example of that, of this like idealized version of youth and what it should look like. And if you don't match that, you are deviant in some way. And with our readings for this week about gender and sexuality, it's clear that, like, yeah, that really is the case. Like, especially Asian American youth who are queer or who are women experience this sense of kind of, I mean, double oppression. I think that's what it was called in the reading. But obviously an intersectional experience where they're seen as like doubly deviant or doubly like abnormal from the rest of the Asian American community, or in feminist or queer spaces because they're Asian. And the first thing I wanted to say was like, okay, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but in doing those readings, they really hurt to read because a lot of the personal like case studies and interviews were like really heartbreaking. But something I noticed is like you would think, right, that Asian Americans being historically excluded, right, um, would try to make their places more inclusive and as a refuge from white racist society. But instead, kind of the move is let's try to make our ethnic group, as normal as possible. And that's the only way you can be accepted. Is if you're as normal and non-deviant as possible. And if you are, like, you're out of this group too. And it's just like people who are facing discrimination kind of cope through more discrimination, which makes so much sense but also doesn't. And it's like, man, it sucks that you're already like your group, right? Asian Americans, you're already oppressed. Why do you have to oppress more? Like, we already have struggles, but obviously in reading it, it also makes sense. It's like a coping defense mechanism against racism, and even a form of resistance. Um, for example, one of the readings we did was about how like Filipino mothers put a lot of pressure on Filipino daughters to be like pure and sexually moral and like restrict their going out behaviors and stuff. And it's a way to try to show like moral superiority, like, oh, look, like our daughters are not like promiscuous, like we are morally superior, as a way to kind of assert and fight against like the stereotypes of Filipino women being promiscuous and kind of like so like save face, right, for the Filipino community. So it's like I could see where that's coming from, but obviously the result is not what they want. Like, obviously Filipino girls now face just like double the amount of standards, expectations, stress, whatnot, right? That was kind of a tangent, but I thought that was a really interesting thing about Asian American communities and like inclusion and exclusion. But actually, what I wanted to talk about with ASA 116, sorry, back to the original topic, was this idea of one way to be a youth. And it does tie back again to being like white, male, middle class, like heteronormative, right? But it's also very popularized by media, like what it means to be a youth. And I think now we definitely have a lot of media overload. Um, and like my experiences, right? Like I love romance books. I love like teen, like what are they called? Like teen rom-coms and like what are they called? Like I don't know what the type of shows they are, but it's like To All the Boys I Loved Before, like that sort of genre of movies and TV shows and books. And I don't actually don't know exactly what drew me to. I think it's just silly, goofy, and like fun to watch. And I'm just really like romance media, but it definitely like gave me this idea of how I should be a teenager. And when I was like 16 years old, I remember I was like, oh, like I have to live my main character's 16-year-old life. And when things didn't go that way, I was like, what's wrong with me? And like I remember I put so much pressure on myself. I'm like, you're not going to parties, like you're not doing all this fun teenage stuff, like you don't have your driver's license, like all this American teenage ideal, like teenage dream, whatever stuff. And I remember feeling like so behind and like abnormal. I'm like, I'm not a normal teenager. Um, and even now in college, I'm like, I'm not a normal college student. And not in like, I'm not like other girls' way, but more like I want to be normal so bad. I want to fit into that. I want to be a youth. I want to be with be like everyone else and feel included, feel accepted. Um, but the reality is there's actually like no one way to be a teenager or to be a college student or to be young. And the reality is like that's all constructed through media, and that's not how everyone lives, especially when you consider how intersecting like identities lead to different experiences. And a lot of media is trying to represent, again, unrealistic or really like these dominant idea of what things should look like. It's also fictional, so there's also that they need plot and money. So But I think it was also eye-opening and like validating to hear that too. It's like you are not abnormal, you're not behind, they're tricking you, it's all a construct. And I think as I continue to like learn more from this class, I'll continue to kind of like peel back the layers of not just like the construction of youth, but the construction of Asian American youth too. The last thing I wanted to yap about for this episode is something that we were talking about at InterVarsity Large Group. So we're doing like the fruits of the spirit, and I talked about love last time. And this Thursday it was about joy, and one of the students in InterVarsity was kind of sharing her story and testimony about it. And I feel like I got a lot of insights, and I wanted to kind of like share my thoughts and like, kind of debrief that. So the student was talking a lot about spiritual joy, which is distinct from just like joy without the spiritual part. And she was talking about how a lot of it is about security in God or some other being, like higher being, if you're not Christian. And also just like understanding how you can feel secure. So I guess like joy and security as kind of like similar concepts and things that kind of are connected to one another. And the student also talked about how things that get in the way of joy are getting overwhelmed or feeling like we can pursue it on our own means. And kind of leading into that, a lot of it is finding security in God or in community and kind of changing that mindset and kind of addressing the insecurities that we feel. So I thought that was, hopefully that was summarized it okay, but that was just kind of what the student was talking about on Thursday. And kind of my thoughts were about it were, I think maybe a little bit of resistance, not like to the message, but to the idea of joy, just because I think for me, joy feels so like out of reach and something that's really hard, especially when I'm going through hard circumstances. I mean, I'm not saying like that's just me, like I think everyone feels that way to some extent. But I thought it was really beautiful to think about choosing into joy and finding kind of something to root yourself in that kind of keeps you secure even when you're feeling swayed. And in that sense, kind of redefining what joy can look like, because joy isn't necessarily just like the kind of surface level idea of it, where it's just like, I feel super happy, I feel super excited, kind of a temporary feeling that I definitely do chase sometimes. A lot of it is more of like a sustainable, like, sense of security and wellness. And I think that is definitely a mindset shift for me. But I did want to talk about, I know I just said it is not surface level, but hey, hear me out, okay? Choosing into joy is also kind of like a mindset too. And it can be things that help you cope through your circumstances or kind of feel a sense of peace and appreciation, even if you're doing something hard or even if you're not going through something hard, right? Like choosing into joy and like choosing to notice it and find places of joy in your life. So I wanted to kind of like bring up some of the ways that I try to choose into joy. Definitely not every day, but like when I can, and it's definitely something I want to like keep doing. The first one is listening to music. I've talked about this a lot. I literally have a song of the week, but music is just such a source of joy for me. I know I mentioned I haven't, been as interested or engaged with music lately, but when I do find a song that really hits, it hits. I also think just appreciating my surroundings and nature, even like the decorations in my room, I was like, oh, I feel like I did a great job with decorating, or looking outside and seeing flowers, seeing the birds, seeing the sunset, seeing the clouds. I love looking at clouds. It's like one of my favorite things to do, and being like, wow, these clouds look gorgeous today. Appreciating people's outfits is something I love, people watching and seeing all the fashionable people, especially during picnic day. That was super fun. As well as just trying to find like little nuggets in each day, whether it's like a really sweet interaction and stuff. Oh, actually, I should bring this up. So I still do this, but I used to do it more often. I would do something called recent local positivity. And I kind of named it that because it's kind of like a news flash sort of joke or whatever. But I started it when I was in a really low point. This was like when I sprained my ankle in senior year and I needed things to, I call it Johanna Good News. I needed things to like kind of keep me going. Um, but it was a really helpful like tool, I guess, that made me really try to savor the moments of happiness that I had and also remember or note things down that I was grateful for or that made me smile. And just collecting them, like not in a jar because it was on a notes app, but like metaphorically in a jar, helped me stay afloat. Even if it didn't make me necessarily like happier or like, yeah, like no more problems, I was like, it was helping me stay afloat. And there were times it would actually make me really happy. But I think that's definitely a practice I want to keep doing. And that's like a way to choose into joy is just being intentional to note it down and to tell people that you appreciate them, especially if it's like you're have a good interaction with someone or you appreciate something about them. And that's something I want to try to do more too. Um, but I think also just like choosing to express joy as well. Like something, okay, something that's kind of, I get a bit embarrassed about, but I think I'm trying to be less embarrassed about is that when I laugh like with my whole body. I'll like laugh really loud and I kind of just like, sometimes I'll like, like rock back and forth or I'll like, if it's like really funny, I'll be like, whoa. And then sometimes I'll like hit my head on like the back of something or like I'll like hit something or like knocks. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I feel really bad because I'm like, oh, I probably look kind of crazy. I probably look kind of messy. But then also it's like, hey, I'm just laugh max. Okay, laugh maxing sounds so bad. I'm just, I'm just trying to maximize the laugh and like just like put my body into it, and then just, I mean, I'm laughing, like I'm having fun. So I think it was just really interesting to think about choosing into joy, thinking about how joy is kind of like a sense of security and, or like, not achieving joy, but joy and security are interconnected. Something I wanted to do after picnic day is a picnic day haul and show all the things I got because I ended up spending money. I didn't think I would, but then I did, and I was like, I have to get it. So we're gonna start with. Wait, let me get it. I got this keychain. It is my favorite artist's cow with a bolo bao. It's so cute. This is actually for my mom, but I'm just putting on my keys for safekeeping so I don't forget to bring it to her when I see her in May. So that's item number one. Wait, I need to gather everything. Item number two is a keychain that I got that I put on my backpack. So backpack reveal. But it's like this really cute like picnic day keychain. Also Mofu-san. And it was like $4. It was really good. I also, wait, this is what I really wanted to show, the pod. I got this beautiful little lady. It's a chicken plush. I freaking love this chicken. And she has a little bow and a little skirt. And she matched me yesterday because I was wearing blue too. But it was from this like chicken club at Davis. Like they have a chicken club, like that's so Davis. It's called like Impeccable Chickens. And they had like little chicken plushies. I already showed the card. The collectible card from ASUCD. But I also got stickers, so I will also be doing a little tour of those. Okay, boom. I got this for free. Like, this is a giant sticker, and it's, like, shiny, like, bruh. And then this ASUCD sticker of bro biking. So cute. And then I also got a bunch of, like, picnic day theme stickers. Let's see. This one, yes, so cute. This one, because it's, like, this Alice in Wonderland look through looking glass sort of like aesthetic this year. This one's super cute. And then I got two otter ones, kind of unrelated. I also got like postcards, but they're on my wall, so like over there, and I don't want to take them off. So, but I also got those, which are super cute. But I'm honestly super, super happy about the collectible cards because they're like so cool. They're so well designed. They have them for like basically the ASUCD collectible cards. If you get like all three from Lantopia and Holer Fest, you get like a prize. And I'm like, yes. But I also just really want the cards. Okay, that is all for today's episode. A lot more chill, a lot more yap. Not gonna lie, a lot of my podcasts might just be slowly turning into just a yap sesh. But that's okay because it is my podcast and we can go wherever we want to flow. And also just because I'm super tired and I can respect my capacity. I also finished my drink, which doesn't usually happen. So yeah, let's go. But thank you for joining for episode 7. That's crazy, of the Chalanting Pod. I am wishing you the best week 3 if you're a quarter system baddie, and the best sleep of your life. Okay, bye guys.